I'm not like stylish today like you.
I
She's like, I know. She's like, you just have a crew neck. I dressed up.
I just wore a dress. I don't know. I love dresses.
Hello,
Hi.
and welcome back to episode 7 of the Pioneer Careers podcast.
I'm Natalia Hillen.
And I am Kenny Anderson, and it is Friday, it is November, and it is a gloomy day.
It's a gloomy day, but bright weekend ahead of us.
Great weekend ahead of us. So, Natalia, what's on your mind today?
Just gearing up for the weekend.
Yeah?
I have a couple homework assignments. Not a couple. I have homework I got to get done. I still have practice after this, but I'm excited. I'm excited for this weekend.
Why are you excited for this weekend?
This is a little birthday weekend for me.
Just a little bitty birthday weekend. And
Little birthday weekend.
how old are we turning?
I am turning 22. I feel like I just turned 21.
Yeah, well,
21.
now you're about to feel 22.
I'm about to feel, because this is weird, but like I feel different after every birthday. I know like people don't, but I always do.
This is your Taylor Swift year.
This is my T Swift year.
1989, even though she wasn't born in 1989.
It is. But yeah, I'm excited.
I'm excited for you.
I usually kind of start my year off with my birthdays, like not really. I mean, obviously I celebrate the new year, but
Yeah.
I kind of reflect on my whole year when it's my birthday and
Yeah.
kind of like reestablish my goals. So
Love that. That's exciting.
yeah. So do you want to talk about your day so far? Like what's been going on?
Oh my God. This morning was interesting. So I'm on my way to work. Already groggy because I took a melatonin late last night.
Oh gosh, the melatonin will get to you.
I know. And I was already tired last night, so I took a melatonin on top of that. Woke up in a haze, groggy as all heckin' doodle.
Heckin' doodle.
Heckin' doodle. On my way to work, tra-la-lying, driving, taking, the scenic route. And I'm driving, and some Pittsburgh driver just pulls out in front of me for no reason. And if I wouldn't have been paying attention, and, keeping an eye out and just looking, I would have gotten a wreck this morning.
Oh my gosh.
We wouldn't be doing this episode. So
Well, I'm glad you're okay. I'm
I'm
glad
go-
there was no wreck.
I know I have mental or emotional distress. I'm going to sue them. I'm kidding. I'm not. But Pittsburgh drivers, just please be better because please look where you're going when you're driving. And this driver was lucky I was paying attention or we wouldn't be doing this episode today.
Well, that just reminded me of when I went to New York City. I drove a car
Well, girl,
all
you're
throughout
New-
the city.
You're in New York City. So.
Literally, you've got to be prepared for cars
Yeah.
just sticking the car in front of you and braking. It's just a different level of drive. That just reminded me of that whole weekend. It was such a fun weekend.
Until
I slayed
that.
the driving. Slayed the driving, honestly. Like, it was a really successful driving weekend.
Even though it was it's stressful to drive in New York.
No, it's so
I understand that. I've done it
stressful.
before. But today, even though when we drop this episode, it's not going to be November 10th. I was going to say 11th. But it's November 10th. Today in this country is when we are observing Veterans Day. And then tomorrow, 11/11, is Veterans Day officially. So before we get into our topic today, I think it would be appropriate for us to kind of pay homage and pay our respects to the veterans who serve this country in any active military. I also have an article.
Article Man.
Article Man about veterans in this country. I heard it on the morning show this morning, the Elvis Duran morning show. Love that morning show. Shout out to them for this article and these stats. So it's from the Pew Research Center. And they say, the title of the article is The Changing Face of America's Veteran Population. Today, there are more than 18 million living veterans in the United States, and they represent about 6% of the country's adult population. Isn't that crazy? Wow. 6% of the adult population are veterans in this country. However, it's kind of been changing in, the past few years. In 1980, I did read that right. Yeah. In 1980, about 18% of the U.S. adults were veterans. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
But if you think about it, in 1980, that was when the baby boomers were kind of coming of age, and the draft was happening. I forget the dates, but the Korean War was going on or has happened. The Vietnam War was happening or has happened, and the draft was happening as well. So the baby boomers, which was the largest population and growth spurt of this country, that population and generation were of age to be drafted into the military. So that kind of contributed to that spike. And that's just saying this right here. The share of U.S. population with military experience has declined. And it says, as the number of veterans declines over the next 25 years, their demographics will shift, according to gender, race and ethnicity, and age as well. But do you have any veterans in your family? Or know of any veterans that, friends?
I know my grandfather, he's not with us anymore, but he served in the army.
Yeah.
I know, like, obviously they drafted. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, my best friend is actually in the Navy. She's in Jacksonville right now. And she hasn't really had to serve overseas, but I believe she had to go on a few missions, I believe in the Gulf Coast or South America. But thank you, Tony, for serving this country. And thank you for being a veteran, being an awesome best friend.
Aw.
And thank you to all the veterans out there who have served this country in any active military. Doesn't matter what the status of being a veteran is or your active role in the military, from a cook to a soldier in the Army to in the Marine Corps. There's a lot of branches of the military, and I know I'm forgetting all of them, but thank you, thank you, thank you. I do want to give a shout out to one organization that are helping veterans. It's called K9s for Warriors. I want to make sure I get that right. K9s for Warriors. So if you want to look it up, just look up K, the letter K, number 9S for warriors.org. They're a great organization, and they're the nation's largest veteran service organization focused on providing highly trained service dogs to warriors. And these dogs are rescue animals, which is great because we know that's a great need in this country. Animal shelters are overly populated right now, and I think adopting a rescue animal, whether you're a veteran or not, I think is essential right now. And it says the program is focused on mitigating the debilitating symptoms of service-connected traumas, PTSD, flashbacks, and all of that. We validate our methods through tireless research and make breakthroughs every day. And they train these dogs themselves, and they pair them with a veteran. And the veteran gets to keep that dog for free for life. And it's to help veterans, with suicidal thoughts and stuff like that. So this is a great organization. So if you want to donate, if you want to sponsor, or just, share this out, and if you have a veteran in your family who you feel might benefit from this organization, let them know of this. It's free of charge. And yeah.
Aw, that's so special.
I know. I heard about this organization on the morning show that I listened to, and I was like, oh, I think we don't do enough in this country for veterans, and this is just one organization that I think could really help them.
I agree. There's also the Veterans Breakfast Club, too, in Pittsburgh. A couple years ago, I did a marketing project. It was for a competition. We ended up doing veterans as our topic. It was called Visionary Veterans. Yeah. And basically the goal was to find out ways to help veterans and reach out to people and kind of have that connectedness and support that veterans don't kind of get acknowledged to get. Yeah. And I think it's hard for people that obviously didn't serve or do anything to actually understand what they're going through, because we will never understand unless you served and you're a veteran. But thank you so much to everyone that has served. You are so strong and so brave, and you're so appreciated. Yeah, and the value that you kind of bring back when you come back to the country, or come back to civilian life, and the skills that you've gained in the military is forever appreciative to the community, whether that be your local community, the nationwide community as a whole. But it's very appreciative, and we thank you. Also, shout out to Ross at KDK, Ross Gadati. He's also a veteran. I forgot to shout him out. Shout out. He's awesome. Right. So thank you. Are we ready to get into our topic for today? Yes, I think we're ready. So our topic today is women in STEM. I love that we timed that so good. So a lot of you might not know what STEM is. So we'll start with a very broad kind of, what is STEM? Why is it important? Do you want to tell everybody what STEM is on a brief, broader scale? So STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So it pretty much is just a general term for anyone who is in the science, technology, engineering, mathematics, career field. So this can include tons of jobs, biology jobs, pre-med, doctor, PA, PT, working in labs as a chemist, pretty much everything, engineering jobs. There's a lot to unfold. Yeah. And then why STEM is important.
From bestcolleges.com, another article, hello. As society innovates and technology advances, the need for professionals who understand how these technologies work and who can propose practical solutions continues to grow. Today, STEM jobs are in high demand, and many are projected to stay in demand for several years. At the same time, STEM professionals are in short supply, which is why so many colleges, as well as the U.S. government, are imploring students to study STEM. And then ensuring students have access to quality STEM education is essential for keeping the U.S. competitive in the global market. Because as we know, technology is ever evolving, continuing to evolve, and the need for professionals in that kind of industry is going to continue to grow. But on the flip side, women in STEM is a hot topic because there's, I would say, some stereotypes that, women should be in certain professions like teachers, cooks, or whatever. And I want us to steer away from those stereotypes because we are not in that time anymore.
No, we are not.
But I have another article, and it's from Women in STEM Occupations. And it says, girls and women are systematically tracked away from science and math throughout their education, limiting their access, preparation, and opportunities to go into these fields as adults. Women make up only 34% of the workforce in science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM. And then men vastly outnumber women majoring in most STEM fields in college. And then the gender gaps are particularly high in some of the fastest growing and highest paid jobs of the future, like computer science and engineering.
That's so mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Even now in 2023, the numbers are still low for women in STEM.
Yeah.
There's something that we got to do about it. And I feel like it all starts when you're young and getting, being open and accepting and showing kids that you can do anything that you want. You're not limited to just doing a couple things and that's it.
Yeah. I personally do not like the stereotypes for gender, whether it be professions, careers, and whatnot, because I feel regardless of gender, you should be able to do whatever you want to do, whatever your passion is. You shouldn't be set into this specific mold, this specific, track or path just because of your gender or anything. And here this article kind of talks about key factors perpetuating gender STEM gaps. So gender stereotypes. STEM fields are often viewed as masculine, and teachers and parents often underestimate girls' math abilities, starting as early as preschool. So it starts as early as preschool. And if you think about it, it's learned. It's learned behavior.
It is learned behavior.
And it's ingrained in your mind, as this article states, in preschool, that women should be teachers and, like I said earlier, cooks, caregivers.
That's such a young age.
Yeah.
You're only what, 4 or 5 years old, 3, 4, 5 years old in preschool.
Yeah. And then it says male-dominated cultures. Because fewer women study and work in STEM, these fields tend to perpetuate inflexible, exclusionary male-dominated cultures that are not supportive of or attractive to women and minorities. Yeah. Fewer role models. Girls have fewer role models to inspire their interest in these fields. Seeing limited examples of representation in the industry, seeing limited examples of female scientists and engineers in books, media, and popular culture. There are even fewer black women role models in math and science. And then math anxiety. Teachers, who are predominantly women, often have math anxiety they pass on to girls, and they often grade girls harder for the same work and assume girls need to work harder to achieve the same level as boys.
That's so frustrating.
Yeah. This article is just great, and it has a lot of great information. Talks about the confidence gap. I know we have a great guest coming up, and I'm excited to hear what she has to say about women in STEM and how women are underrepresented in the STEM force. And right here it says, by the time students reach college, women are significantly underrepresented in STEM majors. For instance, only around 21% of engineering majors, which here at Point Park, engineering is a very popular field. Engineering majors are women, and only around 19% of computer and information science majors are women. And then nearly 80% of healthcare workers are women. I talked about earlier, caregivers, healthcare. And only about 21% of health executives and board members are women. So that's in the higher positions. And it only just perpetuates and reinforces that gender gap and the pay gap and all that stuff, which we in this country, we need to fight, because everyone deserves equal pay. And women deserve to be in the same position, hold the same power of position as men.
I agree. We're about to dive right in with our next guest.
Let's go ahead and introduce them.
We have my dear friend, Anna Eisaman.
Hello.
Welcome to the Pioneer Careers Podcast.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here.
We're happy to have you. Thanks for joining us today.
Of course, yeah.
On a rainy Friday morning.
I know.
So I don't know much about you. I know Natalia kind of knows a little bit about you. She's your dear friend. But can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah.
Your major, your year, and anything else?
Of course, yeah. So my name's Anna. I'm a fifth-year senior. I'm a biological sciences major with a concentration in organismal biology. I'm on the track and field team. I participate in a lot of the same clubs that Natalia does. So I do UView, which is like a television show club at our school, and I report on Sideline. It's like a sports show. I'm also in Sports Comm Club. And I'm also in the Strong Women, Strong Girls Club.
Yes, I love that. That's actually great for today's topic.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about women in STEM.
Of course.
So tell us what that means to you. Women in STEM.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about earlier in the episode how women are kind of underrepresented in the STEM industry. So what does that mean to you?
I think it just really embodies like being like powerful and independent as a woman. There's definitely a gender discrepancy in the field specifically, and just a lot of other things in life in general. So I take pride in how independent I am, and like I like doing things on my own, and like I don't need a man, that type of mentality. So that's kind of what it means to me, and that's why I take pride in it. So
I love that. I love that so much.
So my question for you is, I know you probably, how did you even get interested in STEM? Where did this all begin?
Yes. So in high school, I always loved like the science classes. Like those were always my favorite classes. I loved doing like all the bio labs.
Not me, girl. Not me. I hated science in high school.
Oh,
I
gosh,
always I took anatomy in high school, and I used to get so excited to like go to lab and like do like
awesome.
Dissect all this stuff. But
oh, you're that person.
Yeah. So I always loved it. But coming into college, like obviously in high school, like the classes aren't as intense and they're not as like in depth, but they were still hard. Like I struggled with them a little bit. So I was always scared to kind of, do it in college, because I honestly thought I was going to flunk out of college.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I actually came into college as a broadcast and media management major, because I just had like no confidence in myself to pass all these bio and like chemistry and everything and physics and all that. And I didn't like it. I liked it. I shouldn't say I didn't like it, but I just couldn't see myself doing it forever, because I'm just one of those people that would rather enjoy what I'm doing, if I'm going to do it for the rest of my life. So I ended up switching my major my sophomore year to bio, and yeah, I've been doing fine ever since. So I'm really glad I switched.
Hope so.
Yeah,
There you are.
I got all the hard, organic chem, physics, calculus. It's all done. So
Thank goodness.
So what was the proponent of that switch? That switch in major. What was, I guess, the catalyst, or what really prompted that for you?
I actually spoke to, I don't know if you would know Dr. Frost. She really encouraged me to switch, because I kind of told her I was having confidence issues with it. I really didn't think that I was going to be able to pass all those classes, because I kind of struggled with them in high school. Because I took chemistry in high school. I took pre-calc and everything, and it was hard. It was definitely difficult. So when I talked to her, she was basically telling me, if you ever need help, you can always reach out to me. She was just really helpful. She really gave me the confidence to switch, and she encouraged me, and she really wanted me to switch, because she could tell that I wanted to, but I was timid about it, and I was scared. So yeah, talking to her really actually pushed me to actually go through with it and switch. So I'm really, I appreciate her a lot.
Shout out.
Wow.
Shout out
That's
Dr.
amazing.
Frost. Thank you. She's very helpful.
Aw.
She's a great advisor. And I had her for a couple classes too. So
what is one piece of advice that you have for, girls that are interested in going into STEM that we're kind of nervous to go into the field like you were? Like, what would you recommend to them?
I would say definitely don't let other people kind of like make you feel lesser. So like I always tell people, because I had an experience in high school where I was in an engineering class. It was just an elective that I took because I was, trying to see if I liked it. And I was the only girl in the class. There was like 18 of us and I was the only girl. And we did a project where we constructed like blueprints for a bridge that we were going to build out of spaghetti noodles, which is like really funny. But
Spaghetti noodles.
And we got to take them to St. Vincent University or St. Vincent College and test them out to see how much weight they could hold. And we worked on them for like 2 months, and it was like the boys just would not let me do anything. They didn't want me to, they just wanted me to sit there and write stuff down. Like I tried to contribute and they just like would not let me do anything. They were kind of like power hungry.
Typical boys.
So I spoke up and I was like, you should really let me contribute. Like, just because I could tell it was just because I was a girl, because they were all, doing like pieces of it, but they kind of just wanted me to do like the written work, the busy work that you had to like turn into the teacher.
Yeah.
So yeah, I spoke up for myself and I'm glad I did. So that's the advice I would give is don't let, people make you feel lesser. Always speak up for yourself and stand up for yourself, even if you're younger, older, a woman or a man, no matter what. I think you should definitely always hold your own and stand your ground. So that's the advice I would give.
And I love that because, I'm a proponent of speaking up for yourself for me, it's in a different way, being part of the LGBTQ community, always being ridiculed and stuff, but being a woman in STEM,
yes.
I will never understand that, and I recognize that, but I am proud of you for being here today and finding that confidence and really speaking up for yourself because the articles that I read, Mr. Article Man, that I so happen to, just print out, I read that, women are underrepresented in the industry.
Definitely.
I think the statistic was 34% are in the industry, and the pay gap as well. And that contributes to that as well. I don't know if you have any thoughts about the pay gap or if you want to speak about it, if you have any opinions.
I think if a woman can do just what a man can do in that field, there should be absolutely no reason that there's a pay gap. And I think there are a lot of women that are, not saying that women are better than men, but like I know women who can do just as much as men can physically and like mentally, education wise. So I don't see why there should ever be a pay gap, honestly, because, if you're looking for somebody to fulfill a position and person A can do just what person B can do, it shouldn't matter if you're a man or a woman.
Yeah.
If you're getting the job done, then there should be no like circumstances surrounding it. The pay should be the same.
And I completely agree.
I agree too. It's one of those things that, obviously throughout history and now women being involved with like in the working field and, having a strong career and being that person that makes money. Yeah. It's one of those things that still has to be accepted in the STEM industry.
Definitely.
And it kind of is sad to see that because women are just as capable as men in 100%. Those fields. Like, women are, I'm not going to say they're smarter in a way, but they definitely
in a lot of instances, women are smarter than men because men are just like,
women know what's going on.
They both bring completely different things to the table.
They do.
And I think that's why it's so important to have more women in the field because, the more diverse a field is, the more ideas you have, advances. And I just think it's really important. And I don't think people understand that completely. They think that things are just fine the way they are, but there's always room for improvement. So.
And I think conversations like this are important. A lot of people, especially recently, I think, tend to shy away from these conversations because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And we hate being uncomfortable. We hate being vulnerable. But I personally thrive in it, and I love to challenge people, and I'm happy that you are accepting this challenge to talk about it and just be open.
I'm so happy.
But I'm kind of wondering what's next for you. What do you want to do with your degree?
So I had like a crisis. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I knew that I liked science. At first I was like, do I want to work like in a lab?
Yeah.
And then I was kind of like, no, I don't know if that's super like challenge, like how you said you like a challenge. I love a challenge. So I came to finally decide that I want to go into medical sales. So either like pharmaceutical, medical device sales, or just like general medical sales. The reason for that is because I love like challenging myself, and I like the idea of not having like a cap salary. Not that money is that important to me. I really don't care about money, but I just like having a challenge. So that was something to me where I feel like I would kind of thrive in, because I like challenging myself and, you know, saying like, can I do better than this? So that always interests me. So yeah, I think that's my plan right now. Hopefully I don't change my mind again. But if I do change my mind, the field is so broad. Like being a bio major, there's just so many things you could do. You could go back to school. You could work in a lab. You could get like there's so many like pre-med opportunities. You could be a PT, you could be an OT, you could be a PA, you could full send and go to medical school. You could do so many things. So that's my plan for now. So hopefully I stick with it and hopefully it works out.
And for the pharmaceutical sales, you obviously, like you talked about, you're in sports comm sideline. You can use your communication skills, involve it with bio, and bam, it's like the perfect mix.
That's another reason that I stayed in UView, because being in sales, like you need to have really strong communication skills. So I think that has helped me so much. Like being in UView, I honestly love it. It's really helped me gain confidence, being like especially on camera. And I feel like I'll be able to translate that to, you know, my career, and being able to talk to people like I'm talking to you guys right now, and just hold a conversation and really engage and be personable, because that's kind of what they look for in that field. They want people who are personable and like that they make you remember them. So yeah, I think that definitely helps. So yeah, shout out to UView. Thank you. And shout out to Natalia for getting me into UView.
Yes.
She really did get me into it. So.
And being someone who works in a career readiness center, I have to point out transferable skills. Transferable skills are important because you just heard Anna, she's a biology major, still doing UView, but is using her UView skills and hopefully going to use them in the biology industry, pharmaceuticals and medical and sales and all of that. So transferable skills, students, folks, they're important. So.
Very.
And I know on our previous episodes, a kind of an underlying theme that I've seen with all of our guests and everything is that it all comes down to interviews, whatever you're doing related to your career, communication, being personable, being yourself, your authentic self in that interview, all comes down to doing the job well. I don't know. It just...
I agree, because that is honestly the interviews are like their first line of defense before the job. So you have to be able to communicate in an interview to even get the job, to be able to communicate in that specific position. So you're right, definitely important. I think everyone honestly should be involved in some sort of like communications, whether it's like a club or maybe you could do it as a minor.
Yeah.
It is just so important. I think it's so important. I will stand by that forever.
And like we also talked about with getting out of your comfort zone, having that challenge, obviously communication isn't going to be in everyone's top 10 strengths, but that's something that you can still apply yourself to and work on.
How do you think the arts kind of ties into that, you know, STEM industry, you know, the creative aspect? If you have any thoughts about that, if you think that ties in a little bit.
I think it's great to have kind of, you know, I like how the curriculum is here. So there's a lot of electives that we have to take outside of our major. I'm glad you asked this, because I would love to talk about this. I'm in a dance kinesiology class. So kinesiology is like a lot of anatomy of your body. And I think I've learned more in that class than I have in a lot of my classes, because it's very hands-on. So it's a 3-hour class. So we go in the classroom for like an hour, and it's like lecture. And then we go to a dance studio, and we learn about like just it's more so geared for dancers, obviously, but I'm obviously not a dancer. There's another girl in the class who's not a dancer, but you learn about like your body movements and how like certain injuries can occur and how to prevent them. So I think it's really cool to like tie the dance into it, because I never would have thought that like dance and bio could be like related in any way. So taking this class really showed me that honestly everything is related in some way, whether it's directly or indirectly, everything is related. So I think it's super cool to like have that little bit of, you know, arts in my field because I don't get that often.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like one of my favorite classes actually.
That's really cool.
It's really cool.
Transferable skills.
Yeah, there it is again.
Kind of going through the COVID years, how did you manage that? How did you manage COVID at Point Park? You know, starting before COVID,
Yes.
going through the COVID COVID time, I guess you could say, to now. How did you manage all of that?
So I was a freshman when we got sent home for COVID. So that was when I was still in my other major. And I'm not going to lie, it was very tough. So everything turned online. And at the time, I was in a statistics math class. And I struggled so much doing it online because I am very, like, I need to see you, you know, writing out equations on the board and explaining it to me. So I struggled a lot with that. I was also in a information technology class, and I remember always asking my brother for help. It was like Excel and stuff because he's a finance guy. But
he's smart.
Yes, he's smart. So I definitely struggled, and I think that's kind of also what gave me like the nudge to switch.
Yeah.
Because I honestly felt like I just wanted like a fresh start, like a clean slate, because I felt like I had just started college and I already was like digging myself out of a hole, or digging myself a hole, for better wording. But yeah, so I think I definitely just wanted like a clean slate, and I'm honestly, like I said, I'm glad I switched because I think that even though it was like pass fail, whatever, I think that kind of discouraged me out of the major, which sounds bad, but it definitely did. It discouraged me because I did struggle, and I know like so many people probably can vouch for me and say the same thing. It's just really hard to learn online unless it's like a class where it's just busy work. But learning math online and science, like it was definitely hard because I was in my core classes where I would take like oral comm and I had to take one math class. It was like college algebra. So I wasn't exactly in in like the broadcast classes yet whatsoever. I was still taking like the electives and the general requirements. So I was kind of like, okay, well, I'm not really into the major yet. So if I'm going to, you know, get out, I might as well do it now. I don't want to wait too long. So yeah, that was kind of COVID for me. It was definitely a struggle, but you know, everyone in the world dealt with it too. I'm not the only one, so definitely something that everyone can relate to, I'm sure.
Well, Anna, thank you for being
here. Thank you so much,
thank
Anna, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Anna, thank you so much for coming on the Pioneer Careers podcast today and talking about women in STEM and transferable skills. Those transferable skills are just key.
They're key. And thank you for being transparent and talking about your COVID struggles and how that kind of perpetuated you and pushed you to find the career that you wanted. And also being open about the women in STEM industry, gaining that confidence. And yeah, we're excited to see where you go.
We are.
Before we end this episode, finals are coming up.
Already?
I know, right?
What?
You probably just felt like you had midterms, right?
I feel like I just had the first day of school.
I know. In about a month, finals are coming up. And we thought that, you know, I found another article that 6 healthy ways to reduce stress during final exams.
Oh.
Let's get into it, okay? As being a college student, and I'm sure you experience this too, finals are stressful.
They are.
Finals are stressful.
It's like a college norm at this point.
Because you don't know what to expect. You know, some classes you might just have a paper. Some classes you might be able to take an open note test. Or another class you might have to take a closed note test. And those are very stressful because then you have to remember. But 6 healthy ways to reduce stress during final exams given to us by Active Minds. Number 1 says unplug from social media. In the age of social media, it can be extremely difficult to focus on one thing for any length of time. But one major problem with social media is that it's a significant time drain. You know, the ever scrolling and just like getting lost. You don't need a scientific study to prove that you lose track of time when scrolling through your newsfeed. You probably experience this daily. Social media is one of the major distractions that tempt us all.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I agree.
I'm addicted to my phone. really put that phone on do not disturb and put it in a different room.
Yes.
That is literally the advice that I have.
And set aside time for you to study for these finals. If there are tests that you need to study for, be intentional about studying for those specific tests. Set aside time. Be motivated. Have discipline. All of that stuff. Be intentional.
Another thing adding on to that, go to a location where you can actually focus.
Yep.
Because if you are in your room and you're laying in bed, you're not going to be motivated.
No.
I'm just going to tell you that right now.
No,
At least I'm not.
You just want to lay there, watch Netflix, maybe watch that favorite show. One of my favorite shows on Netflix is Life on Our Planet with Morgan Freeman as the...
I haven't seen it.
It's so good because it talks about how life begins and then like the evolution of everything. And I'm like, wow, mind blowing.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, number 2. Focus on time management. Before it's even time to start studying, create a study timetable. If possible, plan up to a month in advance. This will take all guesswork away. And if you need more help than a calendar can offer, consider downloading a time management app.
To-do list. That
Y'all have Outlook. Use Outlook. Put that on there. Use it.
make your to-do list, have that schedule written down on Outlook or on a different calendar app or even in your notes because it will help you so much. Just organizing everything that you have to do.
Organization. The next one they say is sleep well, which I kind of talked about earlier. I took melatonin when I was already tired, so don't do that because you'll be groggy like I am today. But sleep well. Whenever you feel like you're being pulled in different directions, sleep is usually the first thing to go. Sleep has a very strong relationship with stress, but let's just say it's complicated. Stress can lead to insomnia, and a lack of sleep can increase stress levels. So the answer is simple in theory, but it can be difficult in practice. Get more sleep to reduce stress.
Yeah, that's something I kind of need to work on is just getting the right amount of sleep every night. That's because that's what's going to give you the energy and make you feel refreshed and not be irritated and grumpy and not motivated to study and do your work. So that's something that I need to work on 100%.
And you might be tempted to stay up late and study, especially the night before. Don't do that. Just get a jump start on it. I know it's November right now. Just start looking over your notes, memory consolidation, maybe 10 minutes before bed. It doesn't even need to be that long. Just glance over them, make sure you're up to date with them, and don't make it harder than you need to.
Exactly.
Number 4 says, I'll say if you are the one to exercise, if you're into that kind of thing, make time for exercise. You may not have an hour to hit the gym every day, but if you can take a 10-minute walk, you can do that. You can get some major stress relieving benefits. If you're not one for exercise, I'll say use meditation or like mindfulness apps or anything like that because you're exercising or like relieving that stress in your brain. So you can kind of interchange them, either exercise or mindfulness. Exercise
is very important. Even like you said, just walking, just go take a 10-minute walk outside. Yeah. Everyone can, is more than capable of getting out of the house for a little, taking a little stroll. Yeah. Doesn't have to be much. Just get refreshed, clear your mind. It'll help a lot.
And then the last one they kind of mention is just talk to someone. It doesn't need to be a professional. It can be your friends. It can be a professor. But just talk to someone. If you're feeling the stress that comes along with final exams, there's one thing for certain. You're not alone because there are probably other students who are in the same boat as you. Even professors are probably stressed about finals and giving those tests. When you're feeling like stress is getting the best of you, stop and talk to somebody. The odds are good that the chat will help improve your focus. But even if it doesn't, your mental health is more important than a grade. Remember that. Your mental health is more important than a grade.
And everyone in college everyone's going through that finals grind together. Yeah. No matter what it is, a paper, exam, everyone's stressed in their own way. So just being there for each other and knowing that you're not alone during finals week is key to just being at peace with it.
I am aging myself here, but as High School Musical once said, we're all in this together. There you go. Well, did we just complete episode 7?
We did. It's already episode 7.
And
done.
We only have one more episode of the semester. Stay tuned for that one because it's going to be special.
It is going to be fun.
Well, this is about to conclude our episode. Be sure to watch wherever you get your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. And if you have any questions, be sure to email us at careerdev@pointpark.edu. That is CAREERDEV @pointpark.edu. And we are recording from the Center for Media Innovation at Point Park University. Send us off.
And we will see you
next time. Bye.
See ya.